Bring back rock.
Hey, it's Dean and welcome to Bring Back Rock. Today we have a lot to unpack. We've got a band that had a charismatic lead singer. They had substance abuse, they were junkies, they are alcoholics, they had conspiracy theories, we have accusations, we have a killer southern rock, blues, metal, punk record, and also a former member who went on to become literally one of the most recognizable people on the planet. I can only be talking about the Rock City Angels. Okay, we've got a lot to unpack today, so let's dive right in. Rock City Angels rose from the ashes of Florida punk band The Abusers. Lead singer Bobby Bondage changed his name to Bobby St. Valentine and eventually settled on the name Bobby Durango. The band recorded an album-length demo and came to the attention of Ann Boland from the band Hellion, who had started up a record label called New Renaissance Records. She financed a media blitz when the band moved to LA. New Renaissance remixed the album and got it set for release, sending out advance copies and getting airplay. They started playing gigs immediately and were booked on the TV show New Rock. Ann's band Hellion had recently played on it. The studio requested no drinking, smoking, or getting high in the studio. The band showed up in rough shape, refused to accommodate, showing rude behavior, and even shooting up heroin in the bathrooms and leaving hypodermic needles in the sink. This led Ann to see just how bad the band's drug use was and led to a rift between her and the band. Now, Rock City Angels had a member on guitar you may have heard of, Florida native Johnny Depp, who had parts in A Nightmare on Elm Street and Private Resort before joining the band. He played with the band for about 6 months and left as he got his big break on Fox's 21 Jump Street. He would still join the band and jam with them when returning to LA from filming. He was not part of the band during the New Rock TV show filming. Immediately after arriving in LA, the band had started gigging. They were filling in a hole left by Guns N' Roses, who were recently signed and recording as the Strip's newest bad boys. Almost immediately, they began getting courted by Geffen Records. Geffen found out about the soon-to-be-released album on New Renaissance late and made a move to buy the contract and kill the album. They signed the band and sent them to start recording in Memphis. That's what we know. The conspiracies start here. Why was Geffen so quick to sign Rock City Angels and send them out of state? Writers from Hit Parader, Rip, and Rolling Stone and others wondered if Rock City Angels was signed and buried to clear the way for GNR. Being similar bands with similar fan base, signing Rock City Angels to bury the release coming from New Renaissance and ship them out of state, encouraging a style change, on the surface it made sense. I even read an article a few years ago that kind of laid out all the details, and there was a lot of circumstantial evidence. Couldn't find the article now. It looked pretty hard for it on the internet. I believe it was taken down. A Rolling Stone writer even wondered why the Rock City Angels got such a second-rate promotional push when Geffen Records had a huge promotional machine. There are also allegations by Ann Boylan of receiving death threats and having someone try to run her car off the road until she sold the rights to Geffen. And singer Bobby Durango always believed they were getting screwed over. While recording demos for their second album, they recorded 80 songs, demoed them up, all of them rejected by Geffen. Believe me, there are a lot of really good songs. If you like the debut release on Geffen, you would like these. The truth probably was that RCA, Rock City Angels, needed a little more polishing up. And my guess is Geffen, after signing the Angels and Guns N' Roses, realized they had just signed 2 high-maintenance bands riddled with drug abuse. So the focus went to Guns N' Roses while they shipped another band of junkies out of LA and away from the influences to write and record. This story relates to the end of Geffen Records and Rock City Angels collaboration. Now this is according to Andy Panic, who was a founding member of the band but was out of the band by this time. This comes from an article in which a lot of it was disputed. This story, however, was not one of the things that was specifically mentioned. So, former Thin Lizzy and Motorhead guitarist Brian Robertson was a huge fan, and it was set up for the band to go to London and record with Brian. The boys recorded a few songs and quickly ended up in jail. Bobby Durango's dad was their current manager and spent $15,000 to get them out of jail and bring them home. He then went to Geffen to get reimbursed. When he arrived there, they just let him sit and sit. After a few hours, he laid an open briefcase with a .45 Magnum in it on the receptionist's desk and demanded he be seen, which he was. Geffen agreed then to cut the check for $15,000 in exchange for a signed document that they were no longer in the Rock City Angel business. Not 100% sure if it's true or not, but it sounds like something that could happen around this band. Tom Zutaut, A&R man for Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, and Rock City Angels, says that it was the band's idea to go to Memphis and make a punk southern rock record, and the difference between GNR and RCA, Rock City Angels, is GNR could function and perform high, and RCA couldn't. He also pointed out that Geffen spent a lot of money on the band and tried to use GNR's explosion in popularity to bring attention to the Rock City Angels. One more thing he said is that you can't explain why the band didn't take off. Their album Young Man's Blues he lists as one of the best albums he was ever involved in. The discography, the debut, Young Man's Blues, came out on Geffen in 1988. The first album they recorded, the self-titled album on New Renaissance, finally came out in 1999. Now the sound here immediately, and I mean immediately, reminded me of the New York Dolls. A big change from their sound on Young Man's Blues. Use Once and Destroy came out in 2008 and saw the return of Andy Panic. However, the album has very little in style to do with Young Man's Blues. Midnight Confessions, The Lost Recordings from 1989 to 1992 came out on F&A Records in 2010. Southern Vision, The Lost Recordings from 1989 to 1992 Volume 2 came out in 2018 on CD Baby. If you like Young Man's Blues, you should find a lot to like on those lost recording releases. It's been mentioned that Geffen's main focus and reason for signing the band was Bobby Durango. And between him and those around him, the band went through a lot of personnel changes. The band on the Geffen release was Bobby Durango vocals, Mike Barnes guitar, Doug Banks guitar, co-founder Andy Panic on bass, and Jackie D. Jukes on drums. Bobby Durango passed away in 2012. Now, on to some music samples, and then I'll catch up with you again at the end.
It's an what you wanna do. Oh, baby. But you keep coming back, keep laying in my bed. Tell me when I was through, babe. And no one else knows. She got a black spot here and a black silk dress. Ain't underneath that is anybody's guess. With this long and it's our little secret. We got a mutual desire. With this long and it's our little secret. Well, I'll be a little liar.
All right, so that was a little bit about Rock City Angels, quite a bit about Rock City Angels. Where can you find them? You can find them on your streaming services. You can find them in the secondary market. If you look for the Young Man's Blues on vinyl, just be aware it's a double album. Some of the recent compilation albums, the demo albums, those are still in print. I believe both of them are. And if you wouldn't mind making my day and hitting that subscribe button, I appreciate it. And as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we'll catch you on the next episode.